What's up guys, it's Rota here and welcome back to yet another amazing video on the channel. So for this week I got you a deck profile that is aimed towards more of the casual players. A deck I've been having a lot of fun with. It's not the most competitive version of the deck and it's not a very competitive deck itself, but as you can read from the title, it is of course Vampires. Now Vampires recently got support in the later set Battles of Chaos and it has taken the deck to a relatively high level compared to what it was before. It has a bunch of new cards and they do a lot of really cool interactive things. So I thought I'd show you a deck profile that is based on that. It's not really the deck that is going to be doing Halka 5x combos, Beatrice sends, and things like that. It's more of like a casual profile, just showing off what the deck itself can do and just some fun ideas I've had with it. So if you do enjoy this type of video, make sure you do leave a like on this video and comment down below what your favorite zombie type deck of all time is. For my boy Cassius watching, who is one of the most dedicated zombie players I have ever known, this video is for you. I'm sorry it isn't pure zombies and that it is vampires, but vampires are a zombie archetype, so you got to give it to me there. I did promise you a zombie deck profile. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the deck profile. So starting off with the deck, we have 40 cards. Hitting off with the latest support card from Battles of Chaos, we have Triple Vampire Ghost. This card is essentially a Foolish Burial and is really good in a deck like Vampires because it discards a card for cost from your hand. And you may be thinking, why is that good? Well, because all your little vampires have the ability to special summon themselves from the graveyard, and that is how you get their search. So you dump one from your hand, send one from the grave with a different name, I believe, and you just basically set yourself up, and it has the ability to banish itself from the graveyard on a quick effect to give you an additional normal of a vampire monster. So it is also like sort of a double summon as well, and this card is absolutely crazy, and at 3 it's perfect. I wish I could play more of a card like Vampire Ghost, but you can only play 3, so that's what I'm playing. Moving on, for the other vampire card, we have Triple of the Vampire Retainer. This is your spell and trap searcher. If you don't know what it does, is when it's special summoned, you pay 500 life points and you add one vampire spell or trap from your deck to your hand. It's absolutely crazy. If it's in the grave, you can send one vampire card from your hand or field to the grave and it special summons itself. So this is probably going to be your main target with along your triple familiar, which I will show you now, which you are playing. For your Vampire Ghost, you are going to be Foolish Burialing them to the graveyard and then special summoning themselves to get the search. So Triple Vampire Familiar, he's actually better in my opinion than Retainer because he's your Vampire Monster Searcher. Again, on special, pay 500 life points, add a Vampire Monster from deck to your hand, and it has the same summoning conditions as the Retainer. What is a very common play is if you have Retainer in the grave, you can pitch a Familiar from your hand, special summon your Retainer. You can get the spell that grants you an extra normal summon, activate it, pay its effects, pay 500 life points, and then send it to the grave, special summon your Familiar. So just a really cool 2-card combo you can do with those 2 cards, and it gives you a lot of advantage really quickly. For your other main normal summon, I am playing Triple Unizombie. I know I say to stick to 5 normal summons, but in a deck like Vampires, you can normal summon twice or up to 3 times per turn. So if you do use your normal summon on Unizombie, you could send Vampire Ghost to the graveyard from the deck, banish it, and get another normal. So it's not too bad. And Unizombie, guys, as you know, is one of those ridiculous zombie cards ever printed. Essentially a Foolish Burial as well, and also can send one from the hand. Perfect in a deck like Vampires. Modulates its level, is a tuner, and just crazy. For the one-offs, we're playing one Plague Spreader Zombie, just a really insane card that can come back and is a tuner, help you with the synchro plays. One Mizuki and one Gozuki. Mizuki can bring back anything, just a free Monster Reborn, and Gozuki is basically another Foolish Burial, and you can banish it from the grave to special summon a zombie from the hand. So really nice one-offs to have, and really accessible because there is a lot of sending from the deck to the grave. For the vampire one-offs, we have one Vampire Void. He's also relatively new from Ghost from the Past. If you don't know what he does, on a normal summon, targets 2 monsters your opponent controls, brings them to your field. Why is this important? Well, because if you banish Vampire Ghost from your graveyard, you can normal summon him during your opponent's turn, and it's amazing interruption, guys. Say you're going against a Tri-Brigade player, they have 3 Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters in the grave. They normal summon, let's say, a Kuraz or whatever to use its banish effect. Summon your Val Void and take 2 from the grave, and now you know the Tri-Brigade player has to find a new avenue in order to get enough materials in the grave for those link summons. So really useful card. Also has sort of like a niche negation effect as well, which doesn't really come up, but if a monster that's already in the graveyard activates its effect on the field, you can negate it. So it's kind of like a niche, but it's there in case, you know, your opponent is playing multiples of a card and they have one in the grave already, like Ray, for example, I guess. I don't know if it works that well with Ray. But yeah, moving on to the other one, we have Vampire Scarlet Scourge. On summon, he's basically a monster reborn and he's level 6, so that comes up. And that's why we're playing him. And we have the Vampire Baron. This is 100% a, Vampire Grace, which is getting a reprint now in Ghost from the Past 2 and Ultra Rare. I just couldn't find my copy, so I just put any level 6 Vampire card, but this is preferably Vampire Grace with the ability to special summon herself. And for the last Vampire, we have the Shadow Vampire, your main normal summon of the deck. When he is normal summoned, you can special summon a Dark Vampire monster from your deck, so really, really useful card. That wraps it up for the Vampire / Zombie cards. Let's move on to the hand traps. We're starting off with triple of the Ash Blossom. Amazing hand trap, and it's also a zombie, so just comes up sometimes. We have triple Ghost Ogre, which is really insane this format against getting Brave, and actually is really, really important, and I'll explain to you why, with Lancia, because if you mill these cards off either your Chaos Ruler or your new rank 8 zombie monster and special summon them to your field, you can actually use Lancia and Ghost Ogre from the field as well. So that is why I'm playing these hand traps, and apart from that, they're also probably the best hand traps of the format, so it's really, really good to play. So we're playing 9 hand traps, which I feel is okay for a 40 card deck. Now we're moving on to the spells. Let's get to the Vampire spells and traps. We have triple of Vampire Domain. This is just a double summon. Pay 500 life points during your main phase. You can also summon a vampire monster again. And even if it leaves the field, you still get this effect. So once you pay it and it goes to the grave, you can normal summon. This card doesn't need to be face up for that. And if it is on the field, each time your vampire monster inflicts damage to your opponent, you can gain that amount of life points. So a bit of life point gainage backs, because you are going to be paying a lot of life points for this deck. Triple Vampire Domain is really, really nice. We're playing 1 Vampire Desire. This is essentially a really good card, but I feel like the times you need it, you'll just search it. It is basically a Foolish Burial for vampires and also sort of a Monster Reborn as well. Really good, helps you modulate levels and make those high level synchros or rank monsters, so really nice, but only need 1 of. After the traps, we have double of Vampire Domination. This card is absolutely cracked. Shame that it's a hard once per turn, but again, a searchable Omni Negate is really, really useful in my opinion. That's why I'm playing 2. If you draw 1, you can search something else. For your other spell cards, we're playing 2 of the Zombie World. This card is a floodgate on its own. It interrupts so many decks, and I feel like playing Zombie World is really good in a vampire deck, because you are going to be making Vampire Sucker, since that is a vampire card, believe it or not, and you will be drawing a lot of cards as your opponent special summons zombies from the grave. So really nice, and a lot of decks actually do need their types. So stuff like Tri Brigade, for example, they won't be able to do anything because everything's zombies. Stuff like Flunderies won't be able to tribute because you can only tribute for zombie monsters, and it's absolutely crazy. For the power 1-offs, we have 1 Call by the Grave, just hand trap protection, 1 Monster Reborn, just the best extender for a zombie deck, 1 Foolish Burial, just amazing, and the 1/1 for 1. This card is crazy because it gets you your Vampire Familiar, and it will trigger its effect, and it won't get banished that way when it leaves the field, so absolutely insane 1-offs. And now we'll be moving on to the extra deck. Moving on to the extra deck here, we're going to start it off with a Link 5. We do get a lot of monsters on the board, and Underworld Goddess is one of those cards I feel is highly, highly underrated. Summon it using one of your opponent's monsters, just sends it to the grave, doesn't target, doesn't do anything like that. Your opponent cannot have a monster that is protected by Underworld Goddess. Even if it's unaffected by everything, it will still go, because using it as link material on summon is a skill drain, and apart from that, you can also negate the summon of a monster from the graveyard. So for example, your opponent summons Dark and try and reborn your DPE, which we don't play, but for that scenario, you can negate it with the Underworld Goddess. And also is unaffected by the effects of cards that do not target. So really, really nice monster to have. For Link 4, playing the Access Code Talker, just an OTK machine and cleans up boards with ease. The 1 Nightmare Unicorn, again, mostly to make with IP during your opponent's turn, but IP into Underworld Goddess is absolutely insane. If you guys didn't know, IP offers targeting protection, meaning this card cannot be targeted and it's unaffected by cards that do not target, so absolutely insane. Basically make like a Tower's boss monster. That's also a skill drain and also has negate, so really, really cool. For the vampire cards, 1 Vampire Fascinator. Really useful into making your rank monsters, because your zombie rank monsters don't care about the level of your opponent's monsters. They just count as a 6 or 8 for their summon, which is why Vampire Fascinator is really nice. You are locked into summoning only zombie monsters when you use her effect, so you have to be careful that you try and do your main combos first and then make the Fascinator. You're going to be mainly making your Fascinator with your double Vampire Sucker, Link 2 into Link 3. Vampire Sucker is the OG Link for vampires. We all know what she does. But in this deck, actually, if you were to tribute summon, you can tribute summon a zombie monster, which is right. Zombie World is also really, really good. It's basically like a mini Lair of Darkness, and you can target monster opponent's grave, special summon it, draw a card, and if a zombie monster would be summoned, well, if a zombie monster is special summoned from the grave, you can draw a card. So really, really cool card, and really useful, believe it or not, in the vampire deck. We have one Avenged Savior. You make this with 2 zombie monsters, and basically you go to the battle phase, and then you can Foolish Bury or something. We're playing 1 Dark, just to take opponent's DPEs. It will now become our DPE. When you summon Dark and take it, your opponent will be very happy. 1 Link Karibo, this is just for Familiar to get straight to the graveyard. Some hands can be kind of clunky, so you normal summon your Vampire Familiar, which is a level 1, Link Karibo, and then you have your Vampire Familiar in the grave to get your summon effect by pitching another Vampire card. To the EX Caesars, we have 1 of the Zombie Vampire. This card is absolutely insane. The fact that it mills from both decks is really good because it can mill opponents like really important 1 card like combo pieces. Like for example, you can mill the Griffin, mill the Fateful Adventure, mill stuff like that, and it's really, really good. And also the fact that it can get stuff back to the field like Ghost Ogre and Lancia, and then they contribute themselves off to use their effects is crazy. We have 1 of the Vampire Sheridan. This card is sort of just spot removal, and it also has the Monster Reborn. None of these vampire monsters care about the opponent's level, so you can use like a level 3 for the rank 8 of this. It doesn't care, it just treats it as a level 8, and the same is for Sheridan, which is nice because it gives you a lot of flexibility. That is it for the vampire monsters. We're playing, this is an Ultimate Zulkin, which gets you into your Crystal Wing. This is your main going first play. Usually you'll end with the Crystal Wing, your Vampire Sucker, and the Domination, so sort of 2 negates with some hand traps. I feel is pretty good for a deck like this. And for the last synchro is of course the Chaos Ruler. You can also use this to make your zombie vampire, which is what Dragon Links do, and it's actually really good because you end up milling like 10 cards from your deck, and there's a bunch of zombies that want to be there. And yeah, I really rate this combo. So that is the end of the vampire deck profile, guys. As I said, it's not the most competitive version. The most competitive version utilizes Beatrice and uses some of the zombie cards to basically special summon Balderdrock on your opponent's turn, stuff like that. But I wanted to show you what the normal vampire deck itself can do and use this as sort of a template to adapt your build. It is obviously not a perfect build. It's all up to opinion and how you play test it, and the sort of difficulty and skill that you will be taking this deck on events. For locals, this deck is more than capable of winning you. Regional, maybe you'd need to change to a different variant, but I still think the deck is a lot of fun, and it has a lot of potential, especially with milling all those cards. You can mill Mizukis and stuff like that and just keep comboing, and really, really great fun. So if you did enjoy this deck profile, guys, I hope you guys do leave a like and a comment down below. Make sure you do subscribe. Don't be part of those 95% of people who are not subscribed. What are you doing? Let's make sure we hit that 1K mark, and I'll be able to do a massive giveaway for you guys, and it'll be absolutely insane. And make sure you stick around. There is a collection video coming soon, and I will be posting that. If you guys are into collections, make sure you stay tuned for the collection I have bought. Without any further ado, I'll catch you in the next video.
It's time! Let's go!